Okay. Well, Dana, what about some other benefits, maybe specifically related to performance then?
Well, one of the things that we call it about the forensic detail of the web traffic that's coming into it. We have about 70 watch points that we use to track the performance and the availability in different degrees of that. Two data centers, so we have it running in both data centers, and we're able to look at the performance and availability of those watch points and be able to make some decisions on what needs to happen on that. The other thing, it helped us to really have a common language when we talked about problems, networking, workstation, service, application, and content. Those errors get separated out in those areas, so the end user can look at it and they can see if they have a network issue. They can look at it and see, okay, we have a content error, and an error, this content needs to be found for the application and added. So it's very easy to divide it and track it into those different areas on that. The other thing that has happened is this has really been really exciting, the measurement of the applications and the business units. One of the big issues that we had going into this 3 years ago was that all the applications, if you asked the business unit, they said, hey, we need 7 by 24. This system's being used all the time. It never can be down. Well, what do you think? Lo and behold, we found out that no one was using our HR system on Saturday and Sunday because we had statistics we could measure that. So it really helped us to better define the level of service and the hours of support that's needed for the different applications also.
Dana, one thing that I've certainly learned over the past few years as the economy has tightened up is so have budgets. I mean, it used to be that you could maybe find somebody that was willing to spend some amount of money, but what I'm seeing right now is when we talk to customers and prospects, they say, well, the only way we're going to spend money on something new is if the end result is just some incredible value or just a terrific rate of return. What have you guys found?
Well, I think I'd go back to really the real-time access to the web and the transparency. One of the things that out of our data center, and we don't have any statistics really on this, but the support, a lot of these performance issues, a lot of these uptime, any issue really came back to the system admin folks, and they worked on it. But with this transparency and this real-time access, the applications people really work a lot more on their own and they're more supporting. So that was a huge benefit of time back from our technical support staffs out of the data centers. The other area is we had no way, and this is all new, but we had no real good way of including the entire university into performance and availability of our applications. And we were able to do that with the product. And also, we've been able to make some better decisions. We've been able to turn off resources, make them larger, reconfigure stuff. So we're able to make better decisions across the board because more people are looking at this one product. So the network people, the applications people, the business unit, the server folks, they're all looking at the same product. So that's really helped us to make more informed decisions.
Dana, how long did it take you to realize that this was a real winner?
Well, we knew it before we went. As soon as we saw the product, even before we owned it, we knew it was going to be a winner for us. So it was from day one. But I've got a slide in there later on that it was very easy to implement, and we're using it real quickly. But we'll go into that a little bit more detail.
All right. Well, let's move on. Then we talked a little bit about Blackboard already, and I think we determined that was absolutely mission critical. So why don't we dive down and talk a little bit more about Blackboard now and what you all do.
Okay, the one thing about the Blackboard and we set up a number of watch points that we're able to drill down on it. We're probably using about 5 or 6 watch points that we look at different things in Blackboard. But one of the things that our end users, we really wanted to really have different categories. We wanted to be able to look at the application sort of the long term, how it's performing over the last 30 days, 7 days, or last week. Also, we wanted to see how the application is performing right now. What's the performance of that? So the folks in our service operation and our help desk can use that and sort of view that and see how the application Blackboard is performing. And also the business units and the application people, I'll show you how you can drill down and go even further into the application using the session browser option in the application. So, next screen. Let me step back a little bit, and this is sort of the understanding of the whole concept of the EUEM product. But for us, the two big things were performance and availability. And so we just, out of the box, what we wanted to see is if anybody had an experience over 8 seconds, we wanted to know about that. So all of our watch points kicks that stuff out and makes that into, marks that as an error, and that's how our performance is currently tracked at that time. We picked 8 seconds because of a lot of our applications are quite long on the think time. Not only our Blackboard, but we use business intelligence applications. Some of those transactions, the think time and the processing time, you think 8 seconds is a long time, but that's the total processing time of the transaction on that, and not the on the server side on that. The availability is, you'll see that there's 5 different types of errors. We kick those errors out. So anytime one of those errors come up, it goes against the availability statistics. So next screen will show us some of those, the categories. So within the application, it tracks these type of errors for you. Any content error that's not found on maybe you have a photograph or something on the website that can't be found, it's going to kick that out and show you that. The application errors, those are going to be internal errors, Apache or IIS on there, any type of web server. The client, a lot of the stuff, and we don't see this too much, but it's kind of interesting that we lose clients. They'll sign on, the user will just lose interest, or decide he needs to go to a party or something and drop out and the request on that. Server errors, we're actually able to report different types of server errors if any kind of issue with that in the networking. There also is an option in there to use custom errors. We do not use any of those. So all 5 of those errors are tracked for all the different watch points. And here's the example of the dashboard that's being used for Blackboard that's at the long view of that. So the top third, that compares the previous 30 days and to the last 30 days. So it gives you comparing, this time next month from last month. The screen below that is the network traffic for the last 7 days, and that's comparing that previous week to this week. And then the bottom line is the transfer rate for the day and by hour. So those things get refreshed every 5 minutes, and our help desk, our applications people are using that to sort of look at it long term and see how the application Blackboard is performing. The next screen goes into now, and this is into the grades, or we got one of the things that we use Blackboard for is also, we didn't mention, but processing grades. So at the end of, we're selling a quarter system. So anytime the end of the quarter or the beginning of the quarter, the traffic's pretty high, that people are deadlines to complete assignments, taking tests, or processing grades. But this one shows you a gauge that, the session arrivals per minute in the last minute, it looks like 10 have come in, and in the last 60 minutes, 29 sessions has come into your applications. So very easily, somebody that's familiar with the application, you look at that and say, oh yeah, that's an average day, it's not too high on that, but able to look at that. The next screen is the errors, and watching watching the application, the Blackboard application. The middle screen there, it's just, can you go back? There you go. The middle screen, the no errors, that's just, hey, everything's running fine. You can drill down on that if you want. But also down the bottom, and this is coming out of the option where you're able to look at real time at a Watchpoint. It's called the Session Browser. There's a number of different features. There's a reporting screen, a Watchpoint, you can watch a Watchpoint. So this allows you real time to drill down into stuff that's happening right now. And also you can see down there an error pops up. So it looks like there's an application error, and there are 3 errors, and you're able to click on that and drill down on that. I will mention at this time that also built into the system is security. You can see that we have those are what we call, those user IDs on the left are really net IDs, and those are actual people on that. But when you drill down and look at the application, you're asked for passwords, and also some of the fields distinguish an individual. We are graying those out later on so folks can't go back, but that's what the application and business unit people are using to look at the Watchpoint. The next screen is probably one of the most interesting. Now you can see in some of the detail of the drill down, and this is actually giving 2 parameters. They gave a parameter for a user ID, student number, and also course ID. So you go out there, search the detailed database, and bring back the information for any hits on that student on that course, and you're able to drill down that and maybe look at if there's an issue, find out a little bit more information about that, what's been executed. At the top you can see the IP address coming in, what browser they're using, a lot of detailed information on what's happening with this transaction. This is probably one of the things that we're most proud of, and this is an extension. This is an add-on. This is Northwestern, but it's using the EUEM product behind it with the publishing of the dashlets features. But in this is our capacity and our availability, and you can see across the website that for the data centers, there's overview availability, but in the 3rd line, that lists all their major applications. They can click on those tabs, and when we say they, we let any student, any parent, any faculty member, any staff member, anybody that has alumni, anybody that has access to Northwestern University and has clearance are able to see these screens and see how those applications are performing. So you're able to see how the HR system has been performing over the last 30 days, 60 days, how it's performing right now. But we publish that to the community, and that's been really helpful. Always before, the end user would call the help desk. Now they're able to log on and see if they have if the application's having a performance problem, or if they're having a networking problem locally, somewhere around the world. So that this application gets hit pretty heavily and is very useful on that.